I was born in 1964, African American male. Grew up in the country, grew up with Caucasian people. I spent most of my life around. I grew up around all my grandparents, aunts, uncles. So I grew up pretty conservative. Not real religious, but grew up on the farm life, farm living. Family owned a sawmill, did a lot of logging, had hogs. And then we moved into town, my family. My mom, my dad, me, my little brother, and my mom was pregnant with my little sister. One of my little sisters, first. We moved into a little house on the outskirts of town so that we could get a better education. Now, growing up through the 70s, there was a lot of racism there. Now I knew what racism was, knew what it felt like. And there was times it got to me a little bit. Now, I like to laugh, I like to tease, I like to play. I always was that when I was growing up. Yeah, I didn't take stuff real serious. But as time went on, I started getting a little harder. Still like to play, still like to laugh with all my friends. But I usually look at it like I don't need no more friends. So when I was in third grade and had moved to Washington, I met a kid at school. And me and this kid hit it off right off the bat. We hit it off. Next thing I know, I'm going to his house, man, every day, as soon as I could. On my bike, I'm headed to his house. He had older sisters, and he was into music. Now, growing up with my family, also in music, I had cousins, and all really, really good musicians, popular. I mean, they'd win all the music competitions. And they were my idols. Those were the ones I looked up to. Those were all my older cousins. Some of them into music, some of them into motorcycles. So that's the way we grew up. Hot rods, music. So when I met this kid, he was learning how to play the guitar. And he can play it a little bit. And his sisters would help, but he played rock. And I never listened to rock before that. You know, I listened to B.B. King, Albert King, you know, the blues, period. I mean, I could go on and on, all the names. Elmore James, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, all of it. That's the music that I listened to growing up. And then I met this kid, and he turned me on to Jimi Hendrix. All the rock, Aerosmith. I started really liking that music. So I hung out more and more with those guys and less with my family. Not that for no real reason. All my family lived out in the country. We had moved to town, so it wasn't like I could just jump on my bicycle and ride out there and hang out with my family. Now, there was a lot of trials and tribulations. I ended up losing that friend. He ended up drowning. That was a hard thing for me to deal with. He was my best friend. And then he was gone. That changed me again. You know, all the time of growing up, all the life lessons, loss, happiness. I was always happy to see my family, and I was always happy to see my friends. If you're close to me, I love you. And when I say I love you, I don't mean it. Well, I don't know how to say it. I want the people to know that I acknowledge them and I appreciate them. And that's all love is to me. But if you can acknowledge the person that you spend your time with, and you can appreciate that time, that's love. It doesn't have to be a sexual thing. It's just a caring about another human being. And in order to be worthy of being appreciated, you have to have some loyalty to you. You have to be somebody that somebody can walk up to and tell you something confidentially or ask something of you confidentially and know that it's going to stay confidential, whether you can help or not. So in order to be loyal, you can't be judgmental. They have to be understanding. The biggest part of understanding is you gotta be humble. Humble enough to stand there and listen to the problems of someone you love. And understand that sometimes they just need somebody to talk to, not somebody to hear from. That's what you have to understand. And as long as you understand that, you can be loyal, trustworthy. Every one of us on this planet, no matter how many mistakes of man that we make, see, rules are just rules for the masses, but they don't apply to the individual. The individual is who he is, what his DNA is. It doesn't matter what I write myself down as, whether it's an African American, just leave it blank. Neither one of them will represent who I am. Now, honesty. The only way to be honest with anybody else is to be honest with yourself. Right? So, anytime that you have a feeling or a reaction to something, you have to be honest with yourself on what made you act like that. Because we're quick to criticize how somebody else acts towards what we do. But we're never ready to criticize ourselves for why we did what we did. I try to do that. I try to make sure that I don't over exaggerate who I am. I'm just another cog on the gear at best. I always want everybody to do better. I don't have to know you to see you do better and appreciate that. I'm not full of envy, jealousy. I don't do that. There's no reason for it. Use it for inspiration. Man, so good to see that. I'm always happy for somebody getting ahead or get, well, whatever makes them happy. Makes you, hey, if you like it, I love it. Now, I mean, there's times that you have to be rigid. But most of the time, you just need to be flexible. And it's easy to be flexible when you can be honest about the way you're feeling about something. Why you feeling it? If you understand why you're feeling it, then you can understand how to have a conversation about it. You know, boy, I really like those cars, but I'd just rather have it in blue. Okay, yeah, but we only got it in red. Yeah, I really gotta have it in blue. It'd be rigid. Now, through my adolescence, I got pretty rigid on some things. And on other things, I got flexible. I really enjoyed the music. I loved playing with the band. I loved going and setting up. I loved all of it. The socializing, all of that. Guess that's the traits of being African American. Or at least where I was growing up, man, most that I know. It was always a celebration. Yeah, you'd always have the ones there during the celebration who wasn't happy about something. But the old folks always knew how to handle it. They'd let them go ahead and talk because they understood. See, we all go through the same things. None of us have one exclusive problem that nobody else has. But we look at it like that. We condition ourselves to criticize everybody else, blame everybody else. And it doesn't do us no good. Because we're the only ones who can change our situation. Nobody else can change it for us. Now, in my wanting to see everybody I know get what they want, I've kept myself from getting a whole lot of stuff. I just turned 60 years old. And I've had and lost and had and lost and had and lost. I've done some construction work, landscaping, auto mechanics, auto detailing, ran auto salvage yard, was the manager. Played music. I don't know. I know how to do a lot of physical labor. Run little equipment. But now I'm getting too old. Getting too old for that heavy labor. I got this knowledge. I don't know what I know. I know a lot of people who know me have told me I should get in social media. I should start a YouTube channel. I got a lot of general knowledge. I'm not, I've been to college, but going by what everybody else says, I'm pretty smart. Just hard for me to see it. Because I've never been about me. I've always been about somebody else, anybody else. I always want to see people succeed. And I know there's people who want me to succeed. There ain't no doubt. I wrote a lot of poetry, deep thinking stuff. About my life when I was just a straight drug addict. Didn't care about nothing. Had some things happen in my life that I had a hard time dealing with. I was young, rigid, confrontational. Didn't like racists. Lived around them, surrounded by them. Was never afraid of them. Was never afraid of what would happen to me. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm gruff. Still care just as deeply about people as I always have. So I'm kind of looking at this as a personality evaluation. Who I am, what I think. I know if I had $10 million, I wouldn't put it in my pocket. I'd be running around trying to figure out exactly who I was gonna help, who I knew I could help. I could think of 10 people right off the top of my head. They're really good people. They could use a little help. Hand up. if they had that boost, it changed their lives and everybody else around them. Because that's the kind of people they are. They're good people. I ain't used to asking for nothing. I have a hard time asking for something. I guess my mentality has been, I didn't care how much money I had, if I could help. Nah, you don't owe me nothing. Hell, I'd spend money to get there to help them. Without problem. If I got some money and somebody needs it, I don't even look at it as a loan. I just give it to them. And I ain't got no money. I am broke. I just can't figure out how to get out of the situation of, or the mindset of trying to make an abundance of money so I can help people. I feel guilty. Why do I feel guilty? Now, based off of this, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch this over and over. Try to figure out where I stand. Do I look like the other people? My personality. If I was an avatar, what would I be? What group would I fit in? What can I do to inspire other people? I like to travel. I like to drive. I like to go see everybody that I know. Spend time, laugh, hug, enjoy life. Ain't many of us left. I'd like to show it to the world that even though where I grew up, all the races, I still ain't got a whole lot of hate in my heart. Had it. Ain't gonna lie about that. Figured out it was a lot harder to carry around a bunch of hate than it was to just acknowledge and appreciate people. Don't study the don't study the negative. All that negative thought has got me here now. So I'm gonna close this out. And maybe there's a part two.